The celebration hall on Threx Station smelled of burned sweetgrass and old victory. It was the kind of smell that clung to places where soldiers came to forget, or tried to. Hanging lanterns cast amber light across the crowded tables, and the low hum of a dozen conversations blurred into something almost musical. Commander Orendale sat near the back wall, the way veterans always did. He was Kelvari, tall, gray-plated, with 4 eyes that moved independently and a posture that never fully relaxed, even in peacetime. His uniform bore 7 campaign ribbons and 1 gold clasp, the kind awarded to those who had survived things they were not supposed to survive. Across the table sat 3 young officers from the Veteran Academy, barely a rotation out of their final exams, still wearing their rank pins with that careful pride of the newly promoted. Their names were Isori, Kha'zel, and Mhen. They were celebrating Mhen's first posting. They were also, Oren realized, staring at him. "You are the commander from the house and push," Isori said. It wasn't a question. Oren lifted his drink. "I am." "You served alongside humans," Kha'zel said. His voice had that particular tone the young used when they were trying to seem unimpressed by something that impressed them. "Everyone says the human contingent there was." He paused. "Unusual." "Everyone says that," Oren agreed. "Were they?" Mhen asked. Youngest of the 3, she leaned forward without pretense, elbows on the table. "Unusual, I mean. We studied the engagement at the academy. The tactical data shows some strange decision patterns from the human units." "Strange," Oren repeated. He set his glass down, looked at them for a long moment. "Tell me what you know about humans." The 3 exchanged a glance. Kha'zel answered first. "Death world origin. High pain tolerance. Short-lived, but reproductively aggressive. Known for emotional volatility and a disregard for standard risk assessment." He said it the way he had clearly memorized it. "Some analysts classify them as marginally dangerous. Individually." Oren was quiet. "They are not considered a primary military power," Isori added. "Their industrial output is high, but their tactical doctrine is inconsistent. Some units perform adequately. Others." "At the house and push," Oren said, "we lost the 9th Veteran Combined Armament in the first 8 hours. Full battalion. 4,200 soldiers." He let that number sit. "The Kelvari 3rd Mechanized lost contact with their command chain before midday. I was the ranking officer by accident. My colonel was dead, her 2nd was dead, her 3rd was pinned under a collapsed transit line. I was a major who had been in the field for 11 days without sleep." The young officers were quiet now. "The Chalvik forces had a new weapon. A signal disruptor that made our communications useless past 200 meters. Our formations broke apart. Units couldn't coordinate. We were fighting blind, in pieces, against an enemy that could still talk to itself." He turned his glass slowly. "Do you understand what that means? Every advantage of modern warfare, centralized command, real-time intelligence, coordinated fire, gone. We were handed back to chaos." "How did you hold the line?" Mhen asked softly. "We didn't," Oren said. "Not at first. We were collapsing. I was trying to organize a defensive perimeter with 400 survivors and a communications relay that sparked every time I touched it." He paused. "That's when Sergeant Dara Osei found me." He had not said that name aloud in some time. It sat strangely in his mouth, heavier than he expected. She was human. Her unit had been separated from their command element 3 hours earlier. She had 11 soldiers with her. They had walked through the signal blackout zone on foot, no vehicles, no air support, and found us by following the sound of our defensive fire. He stopped, looked at the table. She walked into a collapsing military position in a signal dead zone, and her first words to me were, "What do you need?" Kha'zel frowned slightly. "That seems." She didn't ask for orders. Didn't ask what the situation was. Didn't ask how bad it looked. Oren looked up. She already knew how bad it looked. She had been watching it for an hour from the ridge. She asked what I needed. The hall around them was loud. At their table, no one spoke. I told her I needed runners. Someone to carry orders to the scattered units, because our signals were dead. She nodded once, turned to her 11 soldiers, and said, he stopped again. A slow exhale. She said, "Asterisk, you know what to do. Don't die if you can help it." Asterisk, and they left. 11 humans. Into a combat zone with no communications, no armor beyond their standard kit, no air cover. They ran. "What happened?" Isori asked. They found 6 of my disconnected units in 4 hours. Carried my orders to each one by hand. Literally, written on the back of a supply manifest because it was the only paper I had. Coordinated a flanking movement against the Chalvik disruptor array. One of her soldiers, a man named Petrov, ran nearly 3 kilometers in full kit to reach a stranded mortar team before they repositioned. He shook his head. 3 kilometers. Uphill, under intermittent fire. He arrived, delivered the order, helped them move the mortar, and then ran back. That is, Kha'zel started. That is ordinary for them, Oren said. That is the part you are not understanding. These were not exceptional humans. These were not their special forces, their elite operatives. Osei was a line sergeant. Petrov was a 19-year-old rifleman. These were their average. Mhen's brow was furrowed. But the risk. They calculate risk differently. Oren's voice was flat, certain. It is not that they are unafraid. I asked Osei later. When the battle was over, when we were sitting in the wreckage counting who had come back. I asked her if she had been frightened during the run through the blackout zone. He met each of their eyes in turn. She said yes. She said she had been terrified the entire time. Her hands were shaking while she talked to me about it. And then she laughed. Silence. She laughed, he repeated. Not because it was funny. Because she was still alive, and being alive after being terrified was something she found satisfying. Like the fear was a thing she had beaten. Not a thing that had stopped her. Just a thing she had carried with her and beaten. He picked up his glass, found it empty, set it back down. We won the Halcyon push. Not because of superior numbers or better weapons. We won because Osei's runners held my command structure together with their legs and lungs, and whatever strange fire humans keep burning inside them. The Chalvik disruptor killed our technology. It couldn't kill their stubbornness. Kha'zel looked as though he was recalibrating something. The Academy assessment. The Academy assessment was written by analysts who read sensor data. Oren's voice held no contempt, only fact. Sensor data does not tell you that a species will cross a signal blackout zone on foot to ask a stranger what they need. Data does not tell you that they laugh when they are frightened, or that they write orders on the back of a supply manifest and run 3 kilometers uphill to deliver them. He looked at Mhen. You asked if they were unusual. Yes, but not in the way the tactical profiles suggest. Then how, she asked. He thought about Osei's face. The shaking hands. The laugh. The way she had looked at her 11 soldiers with something that was not quite an order and not quite a request. Just a certainty that they already knew, that the trust between them was so complete it required no sentence longer than you know what to do. They are unusual, Oren said, because they are at their most capable when everything else fails. Take away their technology, their communications, their support structures, their comfortable certainties, and something underneath activates. Something older. He was quiet for a moment. Most species are built for the conditions of their civilization. Strip the civilization away and they degrade. Humans degrade too, sometimes. But the ones I fought beside at Halcyon, they reached back to something their species made long before they had ships or signals or strategy. He finally stood, reaching for his coat. They are not frightening because they are strong. They are frightening because they have already decided, somewhere deep, that the fear doesn't get a vote. He left enough for his drink and theirs. At the table, Isori, Kha'zel, and Mhen sat without speaking for a long time. Around them the hall went on being loud. Soldiers celebrated Mhen's posting. Lanterns swayed. Somewhere a group was singing badly and happily. None of the 3 joined in. They were thinking about 11 humans crossing a blackout zone on foot. About a sergeant with shaking hands who laughed. About a rifleman running uphill for 3 kilometers to deliver a handwritten note and then running back. About what it might mean to fight beside, or against, a species that had already decided the fear doesn't get a vote.